The deep web is a shadowed corner of the internet, a place where humanity sheds its masks, revealing raw, uncensored truth. It isn't amazing because of joy or enlightenment, but because it unveils the darkest recesses of human nature. On the deep web, you can do anything, say anything, and see everything. It is freedom with no boundaries, no rules, and no mercy. I was in college when my fascination with the deep web became an obsession. Everyone around me seemed to be diving in, as if it were the latest social trend. Stories of horrors and atrocities lingered at the edges of every conversation. Hackers, unspeakable sights, and people tracking your every move. These tales were warnings, but they also beckoned me, daring me to explore. One night, I asked a friend to help me set it up. He arrived with an air of nonchalance, like a guide to a forbidden underworld. As he configured my laptop, he asked if I planned to do anything illegal. I said no, and he dismissed the need for advanced protections. Just keep the hidden wiki on censored mode, he warned, unless you want to see things you can't unsee. For 2 weeks, I stayed within the relatively safe bounds of the deep web. I visited forums, chatted with strangers, and even made a few purchases. The fear of the unknown faded into the background, replaced by a growing confidence. I felt invincible. That's when I made my first mistake, turning off censored mode. The hidden wiki became a labyrinth of sinister links, each promising a darker secret. Many led to dead ends, but eventually, I stumbled onto a site called All the Gore. It was a chatroom, a grotesque marketplace of human depravity. At first, it seemed like a macabre curiosity. People shared violent fantasies and boasted of heinous deeds. I told myself they were liars, trolls seeking attention. But then, I met Culture 045. He dominated the chat, his words dripping with malice. He described, in excruciating detail, how he had broken into a family's home, slit the parents' throats while hiding under their bed, and abducted their daughter. His words were vile, but they were just words until he began sharing pictures. The first image was a blood-soaked bedroom. The next was the girl, no older than 8 or 10, tied to a chair. Her face was a canvas of terror, her body bruised and bleeding. The first image was a blood-soaked bedroom. The next was the girl, no older than 8 or 10, tied to a chair. Her face was a canvas of terror, her body bruised and bleeding. The images kept coming, her tears, her screams, her hopelessness, all frozen in time, and then, the drill. One photo showed Culture 045 holding a drill to her skull, his face alight with a sickening joy. His eyes pierced the camera, as if daring anyone to stop him. I felt bile rise in my throat. My fingers trembled as I typed into the chat. "You people are sick. How can you live with yourselves? You deserve to die." The room erupted in laughter. They mocked me, calling me naive, weak and empath. Someone typed, "You're just like her, helpless and afraid. Get off the big boy part of the internet." Then, Culture 045 responded, "How do you know I'm not already watching you?" My blood ran cold. Before I could react, a message popped up on my screen, a photo of my dorm room, taken from outside my window. The curtains were drawn now, but the angle was unmistakable. The power went out. My laptop screen flickered, then died. In the suffocating darkness, I realized the deep web wasn't just a place, it was a predator, and I was its prey. The deep web had already shown me its teeth, but I never imagined how deeply it could bite. After my first horrifying experience, I thought I was done with it. I changed everything, my name, my address, even my habits. But the shadows of that digital underworld clung to me like a curse. It began with a mistake, a single message typed in anger. "I'm calling the police and having this site shut down." The response was immediate. The screen went black, and a new chat box flickered to life. The name Admin 1 appeared in green letters. "Call the cops, and you will regret it." My heart raced as I reached for my phone. Then, it happened. A new text message appeared. No sender, no number. Just a blank void that read, "Call the police," and you're dead. I froze. My laptop's webcam light flicked on. I glanced at the screen and saw a live feed of myself sitting there, holding my phone. The chat box lit up again. Put the phone down. Uncover your webcam. I hesitated, my mind screaming at me to do something. Anything. Instead, I sat paralyzed. Okay. Be like that. Admin 1 typed. Seconds later, my full name, age, and address appeared in the chat. It would be a shame if you and your college buddies went missing, wouldn't it? I broke. Trembling, I uncovered the webcam and followed every instruction he gave me to ensure I could never access the site again. When I was done, another text appeared. Now don't ever try to come back. Like before, there was no number, no trace. I called the police using a friend's phone, but they couldn't find the site or the people behind it. The deep web was a ghost, and I had angered it. I thought I could move on. I moved in with my friend David, a straight-laced, hard-working guy who never touched the deep web. I told him everything, and he agreed to let me stay. For a while, things seemed normal. Then, one night, as we were studying late, my phone buzzed. The sender was blank. The message read, "Check your computer." Dread pulled in my stomach as I opened my laptop. The mouse moved on its own, gliding across the screen with eerie precision. No matter what I tried keyboard commands, unplugging the device, nothing worked. Someone had full control. I watched, helpless, as a program began downloading. Malware, no doubt. My phone buzzed again. Look out your window. I was sitting by a window. But which one? Slowly, I turned to look outside. In the dimly lit parking lot, a man leaned against a white van. He was staring directly at me, a phone in his hand. When our eyes met, he nodded. A slow, deliberate gesture that sent ice through my veins. I slammed the curtains shut and backed away, but the damage was done. The message was clear. I was being watched. That night, I didn't sleep. And even now, years later, the nightmares persist. The deep web isn't just a place, it's a predator, always watching, always waiting for its next victim. If you ever think about exploring its depths, don't. Some doors, once opened, can never be closed. The deep web had already dug its claws into my life, but I never imagined how deep it could cut. The night began with a chilling text on my phone. Type in and hold Shift plus Alt plus F5 to activate the software. I called David into my room, my voice trembling as I explained what was happening. His face mirrored my fear, but with the man lingering just outside our window, neither of us dared to provoke him further. David wanted to call the police immediately. I hesitated, but he didn't. As he explained the situation to the dispatcher, I received another text. "I'm coming in if you don't do it right now." The words felt like ice water running through my veins. Why couldn't this person activate the software themselves? Why did they need me? The thought of malware or spyware crippling my laptop was almost as terrifying as the man outside. I refused. David grabbed a baseball bat, his knuckles white as he clutched it. 5 agonizing minutes passed before we heard the doorknob rattling. The door was locked, but the rattling turned into banging, each thud louder and more violent. Then came the scratching. It wasn't frantic, it was deliberate, methodical, like nails dragging across the wood. My breath caught in my throat as I glanced out the window. The man and the van were gone. But the sound at the door grew more sinister, a grotesque symphony of banging and scraping, and then, silence. Footsteps echoed down the hallway, fading into nothingness. My phone buzzed again. "We will be back." When the police arrived, they found something that made my stomach churn. Carved into the wood of our door, deep and jagged, was my name. The tech officer they sent ran scans on my laptop, his face grim as he worked. The core files had been corrupted, the software embedded too deeply to salvage anything. My laptop was wiped clean, my phone inspected, but the origin of the messages remained a mystery. The next day, I came home from school exhausted. David wasn't back yet, so I collapsed onto my bed, letting the day's weight pull me into sleep. Then, I heard it, a faint rattling sound, coming from the closet. I bolted upright, my heart hammering. The noise stopped. Telling myself it was nothing, I lay back down. Minutes later, the closet door swung open. A man in a mask stood there, his silhouette framed in the dim light. My body moved before my mind could process it. I sprinted for the door, slamming it shut behind me. I didn't stop running until I was in my car, speeding away. When the police arrived, the man was gone. The apartment was untouched, eerily pristine. It was as if he'd never been there, except I knew what I'd seen. That night, the police stationed officers to monitor the building. It should have made me feel safe. Instead, it only made the silence heavier. I opened my laptop, desperate for distraction. My stomach dropped when I saw the screen. My wallpaper had been replaced. The image was grotesque, a man in the same mask, carving a knife into a baby's eyes. The setting was a small, decrepit cabin. All my programs and files were gone, replaced by the same software as before. This time, it was already installed. The screen filled with a live stream. A boy, no older than 13 or 14, sat at his computer, unaware. My stomach churned as I realized I was watching through his webcam. Then, the boy froze. His eyes darted toward the camera, confusion turning to terror. A text appeared on my screen. "See what happens when you don't listen." The screen flickered, and a small chat box emerged in the bottom right corner. A message appeared, "Welcome to our live stream. We are glad everyone could be here. Thank you, John, for joining us as well." My stomach dropped. "My name is John ... They had been waiting for me ... The live stream began, and I was helplessly drawn in. The camera focused on a teenage boy sitting at his desk, headphones on, completely unaware. My heart pounded as I noticed movement in the background. The closet door behind the boy creaked open, slow and deliberate. A man stepped out, carrying a toolbox. He moved with eerie precision, setting the box down without a sound. From it, he pulled out a roll of duct tape. The man crept closer. I screamed at the screen, willing the boy to turn around, to notice, to run, but he didn't. The man slapped the tape over the boy's mouth and grabbed him tightly. The boy's eyes widened in terror as he thrashed against the man's grip, muffled screams escaping beneath the tape. The chat box exploded with cheers and horrific requests. "Do it. Make him suffer. This is going to be good." I frantically tried to close the window, to shut it down, but nothing worked. The cursor was frozen. My computer was under their control. The man pulled a screwdriver from the toolbox. Without hesitation, he drove it into the boy's chest. The boy's body convulsed, his cries reduced to a horrifying wheeze as blood spilled from the wound. Tears streamed down his face as the man twisted the screwdriver deeper, then yanked it out with a sickening squelch. I couldn't look away. The man reached for a hammer. He smashed the boy's hands repeatedly, the sound of bones shattering echoing through my speakers. The boy's hands were left as mangled, bloody stumps. The chat box erupted in applause. Yes, more. Then, the man picked up a handheld electrical saw. He pressed it against the boy's face and turned it on. The boy's muffled screams pierced my ears as the blade tore through his flesh, sending blood splattering across the camera lens. The man didn't stop. He gouged out the boy's eyes with a screwdriver and slit his throat with a large knife. The boy crumpled to the ground, lifeless. I vomited. When I looked back at the screen, the chat was alive with grotesque praise. "That was amazing. Fat boy. Thank you so much for this." Then, a message appeared. "Thanks for watching, John." The program closed on its own. I sat there, drenched in sweat, my chest heaving, feeling like I had just crawled out of a nightmare. My phone buzzed repeatedly. When I picked it up, my horror deepened. Messages from my friends and family flooded in, each one filled with disgust and rage. "How could you send that live stream to us? You're sick. The police have been called. They thought I had shared the live stream. Somehow, those monsters had sent it to everyone in my contacts, making it look like it came from me. The police arrived, and I told them everything. They worked tirelessly to track down the people responsible. A month later, 4 men were arrested. One was the infamous Culture 045, another was Adnan 1, and 2 others were accomplices. The site was shut down. I got a new laptop, a new phone, and a chance to rebuild my life. But the thought that lingers in the back of my mind, the thing that keeps me awake at night, isn't the men who were caught. It's the thousands of others who watched that stream, cheering and reveling in the horror. They're still out there. If you ever venture into the deep web, remember, it's not just the monsters behind the screen you have to fear, it's the ones watching alongside you.